What if I told you that many of the world's challenges could be solved in 1 hour with one conversation, one person at a time? It might sound simple, but simplicity is often the tool of transformation. Let me share a personal story. So I'm 12 years old, and I'm what they used to call a latchkey kid. That meant that there was no one waiting on the pickup line for me after school. You see, I carried a key to my house on a string around my neck, and I walked home from school, usually alone. I loved school. I was involved in everything. I was a cheerleader. I was in the orchestra. I was in the glee club. I was in the service club. I even had a job babysitting my neighbor's kids next door. Anything that I could do so that I wouldn't have to go home. Because at home, there was often nothing in the refrigerator but a bottle of Bacardi. Knowing this, after school, sometimes I would stop by the store and get 4 25-cent packages of ramen noodles so that my sister and I could eat dinner for the week. One day, I'm walking home from school, and I get to the stairs. I walk up the stairs, grab my key, and I look up and I see a huge padlock on the door. We were being evicted again. I'm not sure what to do. There was no note, no instructions. I don't know where my sister is. But I have a hunch where my mother could be. So in desperation, I walk to the corner bar, and I stand at the door because, as a minor, I can't go in. Now, I often found my mother at the bar, battling anxiety, depression, and other things that I don't understand. But this day, I stood at that door, and I looked in the darkness and the smoke, and there I see her. "Hey, Glow, your daughter's here." The bartender knew me. She had no idea that we had been evicted again. While other kids were worried about doing their homework that night, I was worried about where I was going to sleep. I was angry, I was confused, but most of all, I was sad. I just wondered, why is this my life? I went to school. While all this chaos is going on, I go to school, I pretend that everything is fine. But at school, there's a light. There's hope, and her name is Mrs. Gowie. She's my French teacher. Now, Mrs. Gowie was a short woman with a blonde pageboy hairstyle. She always dressed to the nines, and she greeted me with this big, huge smile every day. "Bonjour, bonjour, Alonda, comment ça va? Your French is very good. You could do a lot with that one day." You see, Mrs. Gowie saw me and not my struggles. She saw my potential and not my pain. And in seeing me, she allowed me to see myself. She wasn't just a teacher. 1 hour at a time, one conversation at a time, she spent time with me. She stayed after school. We would talk about our lives. She shared her life. I shared my life with her. You see, her mentorship was not just about learning French. It was about me learning me. It was about me learning hope and my own potential. The spark that she lit in me stayed with me throughout the 17 addresses that I would eventually call home before I graduated high school. Because of Mrs. Gowie, I had a plan. Because of Mrs. Gowie, I majored in French. Because of Mrs. Gowie, I had an internship that turned into a job. Because of her, that job turned into a very successful career that took me well beyond French and into some of the largest companies in the world. Little did I know that the ripples of her kindness would stay with me throughout the rest of my life and impact not just my life, but the life of those that I would one day mentor. And mentor is exactly what I did. When I graduated college at 23, I became a mentor with big brothers, big sisters. And that's where I met Charmaine. Charmaine was this bright 12-year-old little girl who had similar challenges to my own. 1 hour at a time, one conversation at a time, we got to know each other. We built a relationship built on trust. We would laugh about the funniest things. She would share information with me, share her favorite subjects in school, our favorite movie, The Lion King. We would talk about everything. And over time, she started to share more with me. She started to share about what was happening at home. One day she said, you know, I hate what happens when my mom gets upset at home. I listened with the kindness and compassion that only comes from somebody who could relate. I knew what that was like. One day she says to me, so do you have a boyfriend? And I said, I do. I met him in college. And she said, college? What's that all about? You see, she had heard of college, but she didn't know anyone who actually went to college. So I took her on a road trip. I went to a local school. I took her on a road trip. As we walked around the campus, she was fascinated. She loved everything. She loved the building. She loved the field in between the buildings. She loved how students were gathered together in the quad. She was so excited. But most of all, she was fascinated by the dorms. She could not believe that people actually lived on a college campus. She said, wait a minute. So you mean to tell me you lived here? You actually ate dinner here? And I was like, well, you can't really call it dinner. It's sort of dorm food. I don't know if you call it dinner, but yes. She was fascinated with the dorm, so I took her to every single dorm. I had just as much joy as she did, just exposing her to a world that was beyond her own. Today, Charmaine is a college-educated real estate executive, and she's thriving. Her success is a reminder of how one small act, investing some time, 1 hour at a time, can create ripples that last well beyond that moment. You see, her success is just one ripple, but that ripple started with Mrs. Gowie. Because of Mrs. Gowie, I became a mentor. And today, multiple years later, I am now honored to say that I'm the president and CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Puget Sound, where I get to see the impact of mentoring every single day. I see it in the tearful eyes of a mom whose son has been impacted by the support of his mentor. I see it in the embrace between a mentor who's struggling with cancer and her mentee who knows to give her support with a hug, but also cracks a joke just to keep things light. You see, mentoring is not just about young people. It benefits adults too. And let's be clear, this is not just an emotional investment. It's a sound economic investment. How many of you donate to charity? Imagine if the dollars that you donated didn't just go to that cause, but they created a return on the investment of 3 to 1. That's exactly what happens with mentoring. The World Economic Bureau shows that mentoring has a return on investment. For every $1 that you invest, it returns $3. And that's not just economic, it's societal benefit too. Kids who are mentored do better in school, they have higher graduation rates, they have reduced delinquency, higher earnings, and that creates a stronger community, a stronger environment. And these aren't just numbers. This is Charmaine's story. This is Maurice's story. This is Phil's story. This is Janita's story. This is my story. This is the story of countless young people whose lives have been impacted by mentorship. Here's another number that might surprise you. 85% of young people who are mentored, they don't just do better in school and stay out of trouble. Yes, they do that for sure, but also they experience improvements in depressive symptoms and mental health. Imagine the collective mental health of future generations shifting because of something as simple as spending time with a caring adult. But today's young people face daunting challenges. Poverty, mental health struggles, The isolation of a digital world creates this environment where young people feel lost, post after post, feed after feed. Even the Surgeon General has sounded the alarm. Not only are we in the midst of a loneliness epidemic, but we are also in the midst of a youth mental health crisis. And he says that social media is one of the main drivers. In fact, this year, in March, the Surgeon General issued a warning for social media, saying that it is dangerous to youth mental health. And something must be done. What we need and what I'm advocating for are real connections, face-to-face relationships. And that's exactly where mentoring comes in. An investment of time, 1 hour at a time, one conversation at a time, ripples out into the community, impacting more futures and more lives. I met a young man recently. His name is Darren, and his story is amazing. So I want to share with you because it really illustrates the ripple effect. So Darren was this, precocious 13-year-old little boy. His mom was a little bit worried about him because he spent time on social media, but also with his friends. His mom felt that he was one bad decision away from getting in trouble. So she gets him a mentor, a big brother. Enter Sam. Now, Sam is an entrepreneur. He owns his own appliance repair company. Darren and Sam, 1 hour at a time, one conversation at a time, spend time together and get to know each other and build a relationship. They eat burgers, they go to the movies, they play video games. And over time, Sam starts to teach Darren how to use his hands. Darren gains confidence. Sam even takes Darren with him shows him one of the projects he's working on, and he says, okay, all right, Darren, so when you hear the dryer make that screaming sound, it means that a belt snapped. Let's open it up and take a look. He's giving him skills, teaching him confidence, how to do something. What's interesting about this story is that that's where the ripple begins, but it continues because Darren gets back on track. He eventually graduates high school, and he follows in the entrepreneurial footsteps of Sam, his mentor. In doing that, he hires 5 people from the community. And the people that he hires, you know what? He mentors them too, the same way Sam mentored him. And Sam, as a mentor, he's much more connected to young people. He understands, by mentoring Darren, he understands what young people are going through. He's more empathetic, he's a better community member, he's a stronger neighbor. He even joins the board of a local mentoring organization. This is the ripple effect of mentoring. One small action ripples into a lifetime of impact. Imagine with me for a moment, what if mentoring was the norm in every community, in your community, in your community? Imagine the lives impacted. Imagine the futures that could be brightened. So I think the question before us is not if mentorship can change lives, but how many lives can we change with mentorship? How many people could we impact? You see, because mentoring has the power to improve not just the lives of young people, not just the lives of the mentors, but also of all of the people in their environment as well. So as we leave here today, I want you to consider this. What ripple will you create? What small act, what hour of your time, what conversation can you have, a small conversation can you have with someone that can unlock their potential? Because just as that padlock tried to keep me out, mentorship holds the key to unlocking potential of young people everywhere. Together, let's go create some ripples. 1 hour, one conversation, one person at a time. Thank you.